Morning all, it's 11:09 in the AM. Bit of a later start today. I'm on my way to pick up Dan to film a new episode of The Plan where we're going to talk about drink, booze, alcohol. What's it good for? What's it bad for? All about it. It's a bit of a weird subject. People don't talk about it much. Some people love a drink, some people don't drink at all. It affects people's lives in many different ways. Let's have a chat. Stick around. Go on, fella.
Hello, mate. Wagwan.
Loads of traffic. M25's like car park.
Is it? Yeah.
So I know what we should talk about. What was the very first time you remember having a drink?
Very first time I remember having a drink.
Yeah.
I don't really. I remember going through the sort of cider phase that I think most teenagers of our generation went through.
I never did that.
Did you not?
No, I couldn't
Vintage
stand it.
Merrydown and White Lightning. We used to
Not
go,
really.
when I was about 14 or 15, our parents used to let us go into Northampton town.
Yeah.
One set of parents would take us, the other set of parents would pick us up.
Yeah.
We'd go to a place called the Irish Centre,
Right.
which was like a club, like a working men's club,
Yeah.
I guess for Irish people. And on a Friday night, it would become like a rock club. So in a plethora, in a wealth, in a pool of pop music and I guess house music and stuff was kicking off kind of then. But we were into metal music and rock music and Rage Against the Machine. And, you know, if you think that would have been about 1994, so it wasn't long since, you know, The Use Your Illusions, Metallica Black, Pearl Jam 10, all of that sort of stuff would come out. And that was what we were into. So we used to go there and we used to buy Red Band cigarettes from the corner shop. And 2020,
Oh, Mad Dog 2020.
Mad Dog 2020.
That's a very British thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So I guess really that was the first time I remember sort of drinking. And God, I look back on the experiences I had there now and you think, Christ, if my kids were there,
Yeah.
I mean, if my parents knew what we got up to, they'd never have let us go.
No, that's mad. No, mine was different, I think. So I the first time I ever drank any alcohol that I'm aware of. I mean, my dad would regularly, when I was very little, say, have a drag of my cigarette or have a bit of my beer. And I think it was to put me off, because it was always like, that's disgusting. I ain't ever going near that.
Yeah.
And I remember I was about 11 or something like that.
Yeah.
And my mum and dad used to have a lot of parties all the time in the house. And there was just loads of people in the house and drinks everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm just wandering around going, I'll have a bit of that one. I'll have a bit of that one. And I suddenly remember feeling drunk.
Yeah.
For the first time, thinking, whoa, that's weird. And being quite weirded out by
Yeah, I
it.
was
And I
surprised.
think it did put me off.
Yeah,
I don't think I drank again for
I used to have a friend that used to do that at nightclubs right up until we were about 25.
What, minesweeping?
Yeah.
That's what they used to call it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Minesweeping.
Yeah, minesweeping. Yeah.
But I do remember the days when I was like 16 and I would go down the pub with my mates from school, and there was a couple of pubs where we grew up in Stevenage where we knew we'd probably be all right to get in.
Yeah.
And you'd have like 2 pints. You'd be walking home and you'd be wobbling.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
it was enough to do you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is,
Well, the development of beer is a funny thing, isn't it? Because back in the day, you know, it was all this sort of stuff. So, do you know, because now it's cold, fizzy American IPAs. Do
Yeah,
you
I
know where
love
IPAs come from? Burton-on-Trent.
well, there you go, I didn't know that.
They were Indian pale ales.
Yeah.
And they were made, the reason they're hoppy is they added hops to make it last on the ships to go out to the out to India. Yeah,
Okay.
and they made a red ale that was for the Baltic states.
Yep.
Used to go out on the ships on the Baltic states, and that's where IPAs and beers sort of came from.
Wow. Yeah, because when I started drinking properly, sort of 17, 18, it was all lager.
Yep.
Bitter was like an old man's drink, and
Yeah.
it stayed that way for a long time.
You had the Smooths, didn't you? John Smith Smooth, Boddington's Cream Flow. Do you remember
Vaguely
that?
remember them, yeah.
Foster's. You don't see Foster's anymore, do you?
Nah. Well, all those cheap lagers have gone.
Cooking lagers, they used to call it.
Do you remember Castle Wine 4X? Do you remember that?
Castle Wine for it. Hoffmeister. Harp lager.
I mean, the pub I used to work
what was
at.
Because of course they used to advertise them all. Yeah. Time for a nice off.
Yeah,
time for a nice
stay
cool
sharp
laugh.
to the bottom of the glass, wouldn't it? Or Hoffmeister had the beer.
Yeah.
Do you remember the beer? Follow the beer. But where's the beer go?
Couldn't give a Castleway 4X for anybody else.
There you go, they all had it. And Carlin Black Label.
Carling, Black Label.
I mean, what even was that stuff? It
I
was
don't
just,
know. Well, you still get Carling, don't you?
but it's the most basic lager. Isn't
Yeah.
it? And I avoid it now.
They call it cooking lager, don't they?
I don't drink any lager if I can help it. I will always have a session IPA if I can get one.
Well, you get the nice ones now. The Camden,
It's a bit better.
yeah, and
the Camden House stuff.
Yeah, there's I can't remember what the other one is, but you do get some proper but they're more pilsnery. Do you remember when we used to tour in Germany?
Yeah.
You used to get the tankards of
proper.
pilsner and Bratwursts.
Yeah, I mean that was done.
Sausage and lager.
You can't go wrong.
Yeah, what a weekend.
What else do you need in life? Sausage and a beer.
Yeah. Yeah, do you remember we used to go to all those fairs and the markets and all
Yeah.
sorts, didn't we?
They still do all
But
that.
I've been on holiday recently, and the beer that you get when you're on holiday, it's the classic Pulp Fiction. You get beer at McDonald's, you get beer in any sort of cafe that you go to, just a small glass of beer. Doesn't have to, and it's like nectar. It's like drinking cloud.
Yeah.
It's just delicious. And you over here, it's all sort of thick and heavy.
I think it's got worse here, lager. So we went through that whole phase of like pseudo-German lager, everything sounding like it was a German lager. Now they're doing Spanish, aren't they? We've got Madri. What the hell's Madri?
Cruz Campo.
Cruz Campo.
Well, that's
Moretti.
Moretti. They are Spanish
Maybe is
lagers.
that Italian or is that? I don't know what that is.
What, Moretti? Yeah, maybe that is
They're
Italian.
all fine, but they're just the same as all that
Yeah.
other shit. There's nothing special going on there.
No, somebody was telling that Madri's just rebadged Coors Light.
I can totally believe it
Yeah.
because it's like
Yeah.
I've been to Spain enough times. I've never seen it there.
But the amount of beer, because you know me, I'll quite often drink the beer.
Yeah.
But every time I'm in England,
Yeah.
you have to try the beer, even if it's a beer that I know that I like.
Yeah.
I'll always try it before I order a pint
because it could be
half
night
the
and
time
day.
it's off.
Yeah.
It's fucking off, And
Especially these days when pubs are a lot quieter than they used to be. If you go in during the day, there's a good chance no one's had a beer out of that tap all day.
Yeah, and
which means
the 16-year-old that's left serving behind the bar on minimum wage couldn't give a shit
Exactly.
the state of your beer anyway. Listen to me now, I sound like an old man.
you do sound very much like an old man. You've ruined my beer.
Yeah, but when it's £7 a pint,
Yeah, that's a fair shout, isn't it?
I've sort of given up wine recently. For probably 10 years, I was drinking nice wine, but I find it's too strong these days. It makes
I only drink red wine. I haven't touched white in years. It's just like acid.
nice cold Sauvignon, darling.
No.
Yeah,
Malbec is kind of it.
yeah.
I only drink Malbec. Really.
Cheeky G&T.
I don't drink any.
I'll have a vodka tonic with ice. Easy on the ice, easy on the tonic.
I used to drink all of that kind of stuff, and I kind of don't. I mean, I went a bit mad on Jack Daniels for years.
You did, yeah.
I
Jack Daniels and Coke.
Yeah.
In fact, you were Mr. Jack Daniels and Coke.
I drank gallons
Marlborough and Jack Daniels and Coke.
for years, and years, and it's
Christ.
amazing I'm still here.
Oh, it's that stuff. There was, in fact, the last time you and Bob were at my house, you had a bottle of that. And
Yeah. Well, that was why I stopped. I got to the point where I could drink a bottle, and that's not good.
No.
That's not good.
No.
You don't want to be doing that.
No.
And I didn't do it often, but it was like every now and again I'd have a night out and I'd drink a bottle of Jack. And I think the last time I did it was in the beginning of lockdown.
Yeah.
Me and my mate Tony realised that we could do FaceTime piss-ups.
Yeah.
So, we'd set up our laptops and we'd sort of, hello mate, how are you? And then we'd show each other what we'd brought to drink. And I'd have a bottle of Jack, I'd have 4 cans of beer, and I'd have, some other God knows what else, and then he'd have a similar thing.
Jeez.
And we'd sit there for like hours and hours talking shit.
Yeah.
Because obviously you couldn't see anyone.
Yeah.
And I sat there on my own, drank a whole bottle of Jack Daniels on my own.
Jesus.
Yeah. And it's not even like when you're doing it with a friend. When you realise you've drunk all that.
We had we used to have a Christmas tradition, which was White Russians.
Ooh, they're nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird how quick you change though, because the idea of that
Margaritas is the other one at the moment.
Yeah,
The other half and her daughter's like a margarita.
I don't mind any of that stuff, but it's for me now. It's like when I'm on holiday or a special occasion or whatever. My regular week, I won't have a drink Monday or Tuesday. I might have a couple of drinks on a Wednesday because it's the day me and my girlfriend go out quite often. Won't drink Thursday. I might have a drink Friday or Saturday, but not loads. If we're going to someone else's for dinner or we go out for dinner, we might drink a bottle of Prosecco between us and I might have another drink on top of that. It's kind of it.
See, like I said to you, I've given up spirits during the week.
Yeah.
Well, before lunch.
Before 9, definitely.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah. No.
The only spirit I really enjoy now is rum. Spiced rum
Spiced rum's good, yeah.
has become my new spirit of choice.
Tequila apparently is the best thing to drink. It's was it
the cleanest, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the cleanest thing to drink. But
it gets
we had a
me
bottle
over.
of that in the freezer. When we went on holiday. We had a bottle of that in the freezer. It's easy. You just you get in. You've just had your lunch. You're gonna have a snooze. You're like, oh, just have a cheeky fucking bosh.
I can't handle
You
tequila.
wake up, going out for some dinner. Bosh. Have a little cheeky ice cold tequila. Yeah, no, it's chaos. So. Yeah, we don't keep much booze in the house. We buy booze as and when we want it. Because if there's a glass of or a bottle of wine in the fridge or on the side, and we'll be cooking dinner and we'll drink the wine. Yeah. Whereas it's different going out to get it.
I think we're better. We're much better than we were in that there's enough booze in the cupboards to have a party, and it's been there for months. Then we just don't drink it. There's a bottle of champagne in the fridge, there's probably a bottle of wine, red in the cupboard, there's probably God knows how many bottles of beer and cans of beer, there's loads of drink.
You never tell me that.
There's definitely at least 2 full bottles of Jack, there's definitely a full bottle of rum,
Bloody hell.
definitely a couple of bottles of gin.
Yeah, no, that go in our house.
Just sits there. There's a full bottle of Jack in the studio, which has been there since I built it.
You never tell me that.
Well, because I know you're drinking it. There's also a bottle of red in the filing cabinet.
Is there?
It's for emergencies. But
For emergencies?
yeah.
What sort of emergency could need a bottle of red?
Well, I don't know. If I'm having a bad day or a mate comes over one evening, we can sit in the studio, drink a bottle of red. That was my plan when I bought it. But it's been there for 6 months or something.
Oh, well, maybe today's the day.
Maybe today's the day.
Yeah, there we go. The joys of drinking.
So why do you think there's this new thing that young people are not drinking?
Why are they not? Because it's what their parents did. Mickey Flanagan did the sketch. It used to be kids hiding doing drugs from their parents, and now parents hide the fact they're doing drugs from their kids.
I know. I feel a bit of that going on.
Yeah. And I just think it's teenagers don't do what their parents do. And I've got to say, and I know that you'll understand what I'm saying, but I've been to parties where children are incredibly embarrassed by the behaviour of their parents.
I've been to lots of things like that for the last 20 years, they're always worse. I saw a really, really interesting thing a couple of weeks ago on social media, and it was someone being interviewed who had given up drink, and they were in their 20s, and they were being asked why they thought the exact same thing, why are younger people not drinking so much? And their answer was so humbling. Basically, he just went, so you lot have all got terrible skin by the time you get to your 40s. You've all got big health problems by the time you get in your 50s. Yeah. You're very lethargic. When you've got nothing to do.
Sounds like a right idiot.
I know. When you've got nothing to do, you drink.
Shut up.
And he was like, 3 times a week I go to the gym. That's what I do when I feel like. I know that, but he was like. And then he laid out all the advantages. He's right. He's 100% right. If you can get the same kick from doing something that isn't going to kill you, they're all going to live 20 years longer than us.
Oh, well, yeah, boring.
I think that's the problem, though, is it? Our generation is like, take me now. I don't want to live another 20 years.
Well, I'm a big comedy fan. Billy Connolly said, well, you might live an extra 5 years, but you live 5 years at the end of your life when you're a dribbling, shit yourself.
That's the famous Dennis Leary sketch, isn't it? Where he said, if you don't smoke, you live another 5 years. He goes, but they're the years where your kids are wiping your ass.
Yeah.
He wants those 5 years.
Yeah. Live fast, die young.
Yeah, but it's like live slow. Maybe don't die quite so young. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like David Brent, live fast, die old. Yeah.
But they're not dying young, are they? They're all that 60s lot. They're
No.
the Rolling Stones, apart from Charlie Watts, who was the most sensible one.
Yeah.
They're all still going.
He had a little heroin chapter, I think. A little chapter of heroin, but his wife told him to buck his ideas up. And
Keith Richards is still alive.
yeah. Yeah, well, I think he was, I think he's going to go for,
But what does that say to you? I mean, he's drunk and smoked himself.
Yeah, well, it's genetic, isn't it? A lot of it's genetic.
It's
I mean, it damages your health. Smoking damages your health. Drinking damages your health.
Yeah.
Processed foods damage your health. I don't eat a lot of processed foods.
No.
But, yeah, I mean, it changes a bit when you've got kids. It does change a bit when you've got kids.
Yeah, your outlook changes in that you suddenly decide, I'd quite like to live a bit longer.
Yeah.
Quite like to see them.
See them grow up, at
Do
least.
something,
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely does change. You're definitely not thinking like that when you're 18 and you're
No.
necking a bottle of Jack Daniels and smoking a pack of Marlboro.
I can remember having a certain job, and I worked with my brother for a while, and we'd try and drink 5 pints at lunchtime. We had an hour for lunch, and we'd try and get 5 pints in.
Well, I've seen you drink 3 pints at lunchtime, and I've always thought that was impressive, because I'm useless after 1 pint at lunchtime.
Yeah, I'll probably drink 3 now.
I mean, it's the capacity to do that.
Yeah.
I don't have it anymore. I don't think I've ever had that.
Well, I couldn't drink a bottle of Jack Daniels.
It's weird, isn't it? People have different tolerances.
It's so sweet. I've never understood the infatuation with Jack Daniels. Good logo, that's it. Sour, what is it, sour mash?
The weird thing is that the last time I had one,
Yeah.
it had been probably a year.
Yeah.
And then I had a shot of Jack Daniels, and I was like, oh no, that's gone off. I genuinely thought there was something wrong with it. I hadn't had it for so long. I've been drinking rum whenever I would normally drink Jack. And then I've realised now, no, that's what it always tasted like.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I've just got used to it.
And the thing is, I think sugar gives you a worse hangover. So if you're drinking
100%.
Jack and Coke,
Yeah.
God, your hangover's bad.
Well, I know that because I drink quite a lot of non-alcoholic beer now. Not loads and loads, but if I'm going for a night out, like in another town where I've got to drive, it's like I can't be bothered to do that a lot of the time. So I will just drive, drink non-alcoholic beer all night. It's fine. I have a fine night. But I've realised when I wake up, I still have a hangover.
Do you?
And it's the bloody sugar in that shit.
Yeah.
There's loads of sugar in it. So you still feel rough, and it's like, hang on, that's not the deal. I didn't get drunk. Why have I
Funny
got
how a
hangover?
lot of it is habit, though, because we went out, we're doing Dry January with some friends that
I
traditionally
remember that.
our social life has been built around going out and having dinners and drinking. And we were all drinking, well, 1 lime and soda. I was drinking Diet Pepsi or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was fine. And it's just habit. You go out and you think, oh, well, I'm out having dinner.
Yeah.
I'd better have something to drink.
Yeah, of course it is.
Whereas, in fact, I really like Diet Coke.
Yeah.
But that's an addiction in itself, isn't it? I know people.
Yeah, I think that's worse for you than having a few beers.
Yeah.
So what else haven't we covered with drinking? What are the other? What are the social no-nos? So we all know that there's things that are bad for you but funny. When someone comes over, you're having a few drinks with your mates, and someone comes over with a tray of depth charges or whatever they are, mad shots. It's a bit funny.
Yeah.
Someone did that when you were around their house.
Yeah.
Having a cup of tea.
Yeah.
That's mental.
But I think this is something else. Is people like doing shots. Like I was saying, I don't drink spirits.
Yeah.
I don't think people appreciate just how strong like a bottle of Jack or a bottle of vodka is. Like doing a shot.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's like a few gins.
Yeah.
I can blow my tits off.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think there's a different level of tolerance that comes with it. So like I can drink probably, if I drink 3 pints of this beer,
Yeah.
I will really notice that.
Yeah.
And I will know that
But if you had 3 Jack and Cokes,
I would feel completely fine. I could probably have 5 Jack and Cokes and feel completely fine.
why is that then?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. It's different. I don't know what the difference is, how it's delivered to your body in a different amount of liquid or what. I don't know what it is. But I have a higher tolerance for drinking that kind of stuff than I do for drinking beer. It's very weird. But I have a low tolerance for other stuff. So like we were talking about cider earlier. Do you remember K cider? It used to come in a black bottle. I mean, it looked evil because it came in a completely matte black bottle. When I was like 18, 19, I had a recipe for getting drunk on a weekend so that I didn't have to spend too much money. And it would always be a couple of pints of Stella followed by a bottle of K. because then I'm basically making a snake bite in my own stomach. But this stuff was 9%.
Sean logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 9%. And I couldn't drink any more than one bottle of that, ever. It got to me so bad. And I don't touch cider at all now for that reason. I don't particularly like the taste of it, but it will send me sideways really quick.
Yeah, I mean, I went through a phase of drinking cider quite a lot.
I remember.
And then I got into the sort of Henry Weston side of things.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be drinking like really strong cider, but I just don't. Even that stuff. I mean, it's just sugar and alcohol, and that gets up to sort of 8.5%, 9%.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
You know, anything above 5, you can pretty much count me out these days.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
So what's the...
It's a shame. You see, when they legalised marijuana.
That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, one day they might. I mean, I don't think they will, but they might.
No.
So when is it bad? So like when you see someone using alcohol as a crutch, is that bad? Is that okay? Where do you draw the line there?
I don't know. I think it's a quite personal thing.
It is. But you see some people, it's like, you know, I know people, they've had a bad day. They'll have a glass of wine or two, or they'll have a beer or two.
I think that's pretty standard, isn't it?
It has been for years, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's way more frowned upon now, and it's way more looked at as if to say, well, hang on,
Yeah,
now
it
you're
is.
using alcohol as a crutch.
Yeah. Well, I use alcohol as a crutch in that sense. But you know, they used to.
You use it as a golf cart.
Yeah, they used to give kids. You know, people used to drink beer because it was safer than drinking the water.
100%. Yeah.
You know, pregnant women used to be, part of their diet used to be a bottle of wine a day. You know, and it's I know, and it comes back to this wanting to live longer, and you know. There's a thing in the paper the other day of cigarette salesmen going around and giving free cigarettes out in hospitals back in the 20s or whenever it was.
Yeah.
You know, and it's everything's bad for you.
Yeah, of course.
If it's impacting, and I think the thing is, if it impacts your life, then it's an issue.
Yeah.
Or if you can't stop, then it's probably an issue.
Yeah.
But again, you know, I think when people you're fed constant stream of information, part of that information is how bad drinking is. But believe me, you know, Northampton Town on a Saturday night in 1995, you know, that's when you knew, you know, just slipping around on pavement pizzas. Do you remember that?
Oh.
You know,
Yes.
people absolutely off their nuts.
Do you know, it still goes on. I was up north recently.
Of course it goes on up north.
I was out in Sheffield. You know, I wasn't out. I was doing the tour up there, and I drove through like the middle of Sheffield in you know, like midnight or something. I couldn't believe it. It was carnage. It was like
carnage.
It's like everywhere it used to be 20 years ago on a Friday night. There was thousands of young people absolutely smashed out their heads.
Yeah, vodka bars. Do you remember Revolution vodka bars and all those vodka? I used to drink, you know, chili vodka, and do you want this After 8 mint vodka, and you know, it was, you know, they just sold cheap booze, and
People haven't got the money. I think that's a big part of it these days. I think young people are literally looking at it and going, why would I pay all that?
Yeah.
Why would I pay that? They don't have that culture. We looked forward to being able to go in a pub one day.
Yeah.
They've never really felt that.
No.
They don't have the same thing. It's more of a restaurant to them. It's not an exciting place to go.
It is round here.
A lot, yeah.
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 Yeah. There you go.
So, I think we're pretty much covered.
Yeah.
Our views on drinking.
Call orders.
I think it's like time at the bar.
You don't get lock-ins anymore either, do you?
You do.
Do you?
Not many places, but yeah, I'm aware of a few.
Garibaldi, do you remember we used to drink in there in Northampton? Mexican food, yeah. God, you used to stay, and this is online, isn't it?
Yeah.
You used to stay in there till it open the next day sometimes.
Yeah, I know my local in Hitchin years ago, it used to get to whatever time it was, midnight, whatever, everyone would get kicked out, and they would come round, and if you were one of the regulars kind of thing, they'd have a quiet word, yeah, we're going to stay up, we're just going to shut the curtains. You know, and they would, everyone else get hoofed out, there'd be like maybe 10 or 15 people left in the pub, they'd shut the curtains, not for long, maybe another hour.
Yeah.
But they'd happily serve you for another hour. Yeah, maybe that don't happen so much now.
No, there you go, drinking up time then.
It is. Anyway, do the old like and subscribe.
My turn to go to the bar, is it?
All of that. Well, we go to another bar.
Go to another bar. Like and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. We've got an Instagram.
All of that
I
stuff.
can't remember what it is. Plan with Sean and Dan 101.
Something like that. And you can watch this on YouTube, obviously. It's on Spotify. I think it's on Amazon. I think it's on Apple. All the usual podcast places. You should be able to find it. We will see you next time.